Remember, there are no rules in cooking. Taste this. Hi, welcome to Taste This TV. I'm Chef Joe Ciminera. You know, those hidden jewels that are in the neighborhood, those food establishments that got great food, great service, and just irresistible locations. Well, I'm here at one. It's called Phil's Pizza, and it's located on Long Island, and it has many people around here talking about how good the food is. Let's step inside and meet the chefs that cook it, serve it, and greet you on Taste This. So I'm here with Sal. Sal, how's it going?
Good, how are you, Joe?
Phil's Pizza here, Massapequa, Long Island, New York.
20 years.
Yeah, you know, so the reputation of the place here is you have to come here and try the food at Phil's.
That's right.
Now, here's something you don't see at many pizzeria establishments as well, is you give a fork and a knife with every slice.
Every slice. Every slice.
That because
every slice gets put on a real plate.
A real plate. Let me lift that plate up.
Because who wants to eat wax paper?
Exactly. What's the most popular selling item here? It doesn't have to be pizza. It could be any dish that's on here. What would you say is the number one?
Regular is still the best selling. Regular pizza is still the.
It's still the best.
It's still the best selling.
Great product, really. Unbelievable. But how can the rest of the world try Phil's?
Come down 5280 Sunrise Highway. Little pizzeria with a big bite.
Little pizzeria with a big bite. I like that
that
tagline. We're not finished yet because we're going to head back over to the test kitchen and whip up some more great recipes, so don't go anywhere. Taste this. All right, so now we're going to get started on some incredible dishes. First, which is my steak Asian dish, which we're going to be sauteing with a little bit of avocado oil. I got a ribeye here, and I like to use the ribeye especially because of the marbling. But this outside eye is what I don't use with this particular Asian cooking. So just remove all the fat, or as much as you can. Now, what we're going to do is take our bowl. We're going to put a little bit of arrowroot. Arrowroot is a thickener. And some people like to use flour. You know, I tend to like to use flours that are gluten-free, like chickpea flour, stuff like that. So we're going to cut our beef into strips like so. And we're going to put the steak in here like so. We're going to take our avocado oil. Don't be scared to put a lot in there. It's really going to make it nice. And we have our beef, which you're going to give a little bit of salt. And we're going to mix it in with the arrowroot, because that'll give it a nice little coating. It'll help the meat not stick to the pan. And it'll also help thicken our sauce, right? So we have our beef. Just going to take our beef. This is definitely a pan sauce. And we're going to be taking some of this oil out after we've achieved a color from the steak. Our meat is kind of doing its thing. You're not going to get a sear. What you're going to get is a golden brown kind of texture. You get almost like that coating. Then I'm going to drain this excess oil. Because I really don't want a lot in there, right? So I'm going to return this here. And here goes our orange juice. Right away, that citrus flavor, right? A little bit of our beef stock. Going to let that cook down. We got it on high flame. We're going to put a little bit of our seeds in, just a little bit of black. I like to put black in there. And let this really cook down a bit. And we have a little bit of peanut butter. Kind of brings it to that, you know, oriental type of feel. And you start to see where I'm going with now, right? See it taking on its own sauce of flavors. We talked about the wasabi root, right? This stuff is great, but don't be standing there sniffing it because it's got some strong flavor. We're going to actually start to really nicely, slowly put a little bit in there. Now what I'm doing now is taking an apple and putting it in the microplane. I love this microplane. This is great. Just it grades everything nice, evenly, fast. Half the time you're not even going to know what you graded is in the sauce. Like this apple is going to give such sweet flavor and you're never going to know where it came from. Now what I do is put a little bit of olives in here. Mash them down to like a paste. And you don't get like that annoying kind of texture, you know? You know what I'm talking about. Okay. Take that paste right in there. Woo! And you got to be kidding me. A little bit of butter. We'll bring it out completely. We'll bring out the sauce, the flavor of the dish. If you want to omit the butter, that's fine. Treat yourself a little bit. There's nothing wrong with it. what we're going to do is mold a little bit of rice here. Put it right in the center. You don't need a lot. Just a little bit. What we're going to do is take our beef. Wow, this really smells amazing. And you smell that wasabi root. Take some of that sauce that you have. You go right over the top with it. And maybe even a little bit on the side like that. Take a little bit of your seeds. Black and white sesame seeds, always a good touch. Now you take these greens. These are wood sorrel and go great with beef or any type of Asian cooking. And you just put that on the top like that. All right, now you have some leeks here that we julienned before. If they're sliced thin enough, I like them raw. So what we're going to do is just garnish it with a little bit of leeks on top. Give it some height, give it some flavor, and there you have it. That's our first Asian beef dish. That'll conclude this Asian beef dish, but we're not finished yet, my friends, because if you love mozzarella and tomato and supersada, don't go anywhere. This next recipe you're going to love. Now, all of you may love mozzarella, and who doesn't, right? If you can have it and you can have dairy, doesn't hurt your stomach or your system, fresh mozzarella is a treat in the cheese category. Now, what I'm going to be making here is a very simple tomato and mozzarella salad, but I'm going to make it very small and bite-sized. This is something called perlini. Now, this is not something that's really sold around stores unless you go to a specialty item, but I think it's the coolest, especially with mozzarella and tomato. Just before they're ready to be served, you salt them with a little bit of water. Don't leave them in there that long. Then, it'll absorb some of the salt flavor. We're going to add some salt in here as well. We have some prosciutto. We're going to dice this up and put this in with the perlini. Now, any kind of good quality supersada is going to have a casing that you're going to need to remove. And I just want to show you here because this is really a sign of a good product. Let's start to dice a little bit of this. Get a nice cut. This is really good flavor. I love it. So we put an even amount to where it's not overpowering the mozzarella, so you're not having more supersada than you are mozzarella. And we'll take our spoon and we'll mix this up. And we're not going to season it with anything yet, so we're just going to kind of leave it sitting. This is good, so we'll put this off to the side. Now let's talk about our tomato, right? We don't want any seeds in the tomato, okay? So a little trick that you can do with your tomato is take it. So you're just going to follow with your knife and cut the flesh of the outside tomato. You get nothing from the inside of the flesh of the tomato. That's where all the seeds are anyway. So if you're doing this dish, you don't want it. And then you just cut the end here, and you get a little bit of flesh here. And that's it. The rest of this tomato is good for something else, whatever you want to use it for. Now what we do is we take our tomato and we're going to dice the tomato, same size as the supersada. If you want to do a bit smaller, you can do that as well. I got these Moroccan olives. And Moroccan olives are very bitter, but in combination with the green olive, it kind of balances out its flavor. So I got 4 each. And what I'm going to do is dice these. I'm going to dice these olives up. And I'm going to mix them in with that. The flavor of the olives combined with the salami, or the supersata rather, is going to be a marriage made in heaven. So we're going to take this up very gently and put it in. It's going to give it so much more flavor. Now we're going to take our avocado oil, put it in, good amount. We're going to take our salt, just a little bit. So we're going to mix this. And you can start to see all the combinations of flavors come together. It's amazing what the oil does, really brings out the texture of this. I like to let this sit at room temperature outside for about 15 minutes before I serve it, but for time purposes here on the show, I'm just going to dip it out for you right now. Now, you take our black olive spread, and we're going to put it in the center, not too much. You don't want to overpower anything because you got olives in there going on, but the spread seems to take on a little bit of its own kind of taste here. So we're going to spread this around, and we're going to cut a little bit of our mozzarella and pepperoni that we have. Just going to do 2 slices, and it's going to act as like a bed. So this is going to be the ultimate mozzarella dish. Next, we're going to take our incredible mixture here of perlini, supersad, tomatoes, and olives, and we're just going to put that over the center. And this isn't, I mean, I made enough to feed a lot of hungry people here, but this dish is good for one person right here. And this is an incredible balance of flavors here, folks. Now, if you get crazy and you feel like things have been going well and you want to treat yourself to a bottle of 50-year-old balsamic vinegar reduction, drizzle that over the side of that baby. This is it for this dish. This is my version of mozzarella and tomato. Up next, fondue. If you haven't had it before, wait till you try it with apples and pears. You know, I've been getting a lot of emails about fondue and making fondue and what kind of cheese to use. And the answer to that is really you can make fondue with any cheese. Any good quality 4-month-plus aged cheese, hard cheese, is a good cheese to use. Commonly Swiss cheese or any kind of Swiss would be used for fondue. Today we're using the Grand Cru. Now, the Swiss cheese or cheese in general is great with wine, and some people add some flavor to it. I've seen some raw garlic kind of with some oil in the beginning stages, kind of saute the bottom of it. But we're going to add a little bit of a garlic powder mixture towards the end just to give it some added flavor. The trick is it's really simple. You need a wood spoon, and you need good quality cheese. And once you put the cheese in, you sort of really lower the heat. And you're going to add as much as you think until it's kind of all melted and coming together. And you have to really just take it with a wooden spoon, constantly stirring it. I'm going to take another match. It's similar to making like risotto. You know, you're constantly adding water to risotto and stuff like that. So this looks good. We're going to continue to, while I'm doing that, take some apples. We're going to take some pears, and we're going to wedge them. Take some grains, put them in the center. Take our wedged fruit. You could do grapes. Grapes are really good to do. Figs, I love figs. Fresh figs. Apples are probably I mean, I like pears, but apples are probably the way to go with this. Right? So what we're going to do is take our spoon, and again, constantly stirring it. Okay, next we're going to add the remainder. So you see, for about 2 cups of wine, how much cheese you really need to make a good fondue. And as you see it, it's starting to really come together. I mean, you could put this right on bread or whatever. I always like to scoop my fondue with a spoon. I don't want to pour it over because you're going to get some extra liquid, wine liquid, I should say, go right into there. Now, this is the traditional method for dipping your fondue. Go right in, and that's it, down the hatch. That's what I'm talking about. That is fondue. Leave the bread alone. You don't need the bread. Bread is okay. Who needs it? You got fruit. It's more healthier, right? This is my version of fondue and all the other ingredients. Thank you for watching this fun-filled episode of Taste This TV. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Until the next one, remember, there are no rules in cooking. Taste this. And we're going to be using some avocado oil today, which is going to give flavor to the dish. And since avocado oil has a different color, you might not see that green, that bright green tint that you usually do from first press cold olive oil. From first press cold olive oil.